conditioning in the background because it's rather warm for me right now. Anyway, a couple things. First, I just wanted to say that I certainly have never been a large presence in the whispering community, but before I was actually, had my own channel, I watched the whispering community grow, and it's just grown bigger and bigger, and now there's the, hope I don't get the letters in the wrong order, the ASMR community sort of absorbed the whispering community, and it's just very interesting to see the amazing growth and intense flowering and little subcultures like this role-playing ASMR videos that are very popular. I personally don't understand the appeal of the role-playing ones myself, but I find it interesting that it's a little sub-genre that's developed. And actually, that's not true. There are many role-playing ones that I like. One thing that bothers me, has been bothering me though, is I feel like, well, you know what? I'm not going to talk about that. There are some things that are developing that I'm not happy about, but I feel like it's such a small thing that to mention it would only give it more credit than credit is due. But anyway, overall, it's just fascinating. There's so many wonderful artists out there with much more talent and much better equipment as well than mine, but mostly more talent. And just some people's videos I'm enjoying immensely. I don't know where to be. Whisper Thought, Whisper Crystal, Wavering Whispers. What's her name? I subscribed to her video, but I can't remember her name. Well, anyway, I'll tag her in this video so she can know. But she's a woman who does a lot of cooking videos and videos about daily life, and she must make like 5 a day. And they're not whispering exactly, but they're very relaxing. But anyway, I just want to thank the wonderful whispering community, of which I am a very, very minor part. I take a lot more than I give, and I want to thank all the people who give so much and produce so many videos. I don't know how they have a life, but I'm really thankful for it. I'm sure they find a way. A lot of people are very productive, and it's just wonderful. Anyway, I think I've rambled on long enough. As you can probably guess, I want to read a little bit from The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. Now, I was a little hesitant about this because I don't like reading books that have a copyright on them still, I don't want to violate any copyright. However, I don't have any ads in front of my videos, so I'm not making money off them. And a book like The Hobbit, it's not as if I'm reading the whole thing, so it's not like someone can download my videos in lieu of an ebook, or an audiobook. So I don't think I'm hurting anything, and so I mean no disrespect by reading it. I don't mean to violate any copyright laws. I know it's not public domain yet, but you can see it's a very old copy. I've had this copy since middle school. I actually started reading The Hobbit, and then I got to the chapter where they're floating down the river in perils, and I gave up. This was back in middle school. And then I saw the preview for Lord of the Rings when the movies were coming out, and I knew I had to read the whole thing, so I read The Hobbit, and I read the whole Lord of the Rings, and then I saw the first movie, and it just changed everything. But anyway, I'm going to read a little bit from The Hobbit. Map. There's nothing like the first in the series. You can never really quite recapture that feeling, even if the later ones are better in some way. But anyway, I'm going to put my camera down so I can read, and so the voice isn't too loud while I'm reading, because I know I tend to be louder than I think I'm being. And hopefully you'll enjoy this video. Alrighty. glass knob in the exact middle. The door opened on a tube-shaped hole like a tunnel. A very comfortable tunnel without smoke, with paneled walls and floors tiled and carpeted, provided with polished chairs, and lots of pegs for hats and coats. The Hobbit was fond of visitors. The tunnel wound on and on, going fairly but not quite straight into the side of the hill. The hill, as the people for many miles around called it, and many little round doors opened out of it, first on one side, then on another. Not going upstairs for the Hobbit. Bedrooms, bathrooms, cellars, pantries, lots of these. Wardrobes, he had a whole room devoted to clothes. Kitchens, dining rooms, all were on the same floor, and indeed on the same passage. The best rooms were on the left-hand side, going in, for these were the only ones to have windows, deep-set round windows, looking over his garden and meadows beyond, sloping down to the river. The Hobbit was a very well-to-do Hobbit, and his name was Baggins. The Baggins had lived in the neighborhood of the hill for time out of mind, and people considered them very respectable, not only because most of them were rich, but also because they had never had any adventures, nor did anything unexpected. You could tell what a Baggins would say on any question without bother of asking him. This is the story of how a Baggins had an adventure, and found himself doing and saying things altogether unexpected. He may have lost the neighbor's respect, but he gained, well, you will see whether he gained anything in the end. The mother of our particular Hobbit. What is a Hobbit? I suppose Hobbits need some description nowadays, since they have become rare and shy of the big people, as they call us. They are, or were, little people, about half our height, and smaller than bearded dwarves. Hobbits have no beards. There's little or no magic about them, except the ordinary everyday sort, which helps them disappear quietly and quickly when large stupid folk like you and me come blundering along, making noise like elephants which they can hear a mile off. They are inclined to be fat in the stomach. They dress in bright colors, chiefly green and yellow, wear no shoes because their feet grow natural leathery soles, and thick warm brown hair like the stuff on their heads, which is curly. They have long, clever brown fingers, good-natured faces, and laugh deep, fruity laughs, especially after dinner, which they have twice a day when they can get it. Now you know enough to go on with. As I was saying, the mother of this Hobbit, of Bilbo Baggins, that is, was the famous Belladonna Took, one of the 3 remarkable daughters of the old Took, head of the Hobbits who live across the water, the small river that ran at the foot of the hill. It was often said in other families that long ago one of the Took ancestors must have taken a fairy wife. That was, of course, absurd, but certainly there was something else not entirely Hobbit-like about them, and once in a while members of the Took clan would go and have adventures. They discreetly disappeared, and the family hushed it up, but the fact remained that the Tooks were not as respectable as the Bagginses, though they were undoubtedly richer. Not that Belladonna Took ever had any adventures after she became Mrs. Bungo Baggins. Bungo, that was Bilbo's father, built the most luxurious hobbit hole for her, and partly with her money. It must be found either under the hill or over the hill, or across the water, and they remained to the end of their days. Still, it is probably that Bilbo, her only son, although he looked and behaved exactly like a second edition of his solid and comfortable father, got something a bit queer in his makeup from the Took side, something that only waited for a chance to come out. That chance never arrived until Bilbo Baggins was grown up, being about 50 years old or so, and living in the beautiful hobbit hole built by his father, which I had just described to you, until he had in fact bigger, and he settled down immovably. By some curious chance, one morning long ago in the quiet of the world, when there was less noise and more green, and the hobbits were still numerous and prosperous, Bilbo Baggins was standing at his door after breakfast, smoking an enormous long wooden pipe that reached nearly down to his woolly toes, neatly brushed, and Gandalf came by. Gandalf, if you had heard only a quarter of what I have heard about him, and I have only heard very little of all there is to hear, you would be prepared for any sort of remarkable tale. Tales of adventures sprouted all over the place whenever he went, in the most extraordinary fashion. He had not been down the way under the hill for ages and ages, not since his friend old Took died. In fact, the hobbits had almost forgotten what he looked like. He had been away over the hill and across the water on business of his own since they were all small hobbits, boys and hobbit girls. All the unsuspecting Bilbo saw that morning was an old man with a staff. He had a tall, pointed blue hat, a long grey cloak, a silver scarf over his white beard, over which a white beard hung down below his waist, and immense black boots. "Good morning," said Bilbo, and he meant it. The sun was shining, the grass was very green, but Gandalf looked at him from under long bushy eyebrows that stuck out further from the brim of the shady hat. "What do you mean?" he said. "Do you mean you wish me a good morning? Or mean that it is a good morning whether I want it or not? Or that you feel good this morning? Or that it is a morning to be good on?" "All of them at once," said Bilbo. "And a very fine morning for a pipe of tobacco out of doors, into the bargain. If you have a pipe about you, sit down and have a fill of mine. There's no hurry. We have all the day before us." Then Bilbo sat down on the seat by his door, crossed his legs, and blew out a beautiful grey ring of smoke that sailed up to the air without breaking and floated away over the hill. "Very pretty," said Gandalf, "but I have no time to blow smoke rings this morning. I'm looking for someone to share an adventure that I'm arranging. It is very difficult to find anyone." "I should think so in these parts. We are plain, quiet folk and have no use for adventures. Nasty, disturbing, uncomfortable things. Make you late for dinner. I can't think what anybody sees in them," said our Mr. Baggins, and stuck one thumb behind his bracers and blew out another bigger smoke ring. Then he took out his morning letters and began to read, pretending to take no notice of the old man. He decided that he was not quite his sort and wanted him to go away. But the old man did not move. He stood leaning on a stick and gazing at the Hobbit without saying anything, till Bilbo got quite uncomfortable and even a little cross. "Good morning," he said at last. "We don't want any adventures here, thank you. You may try it over the hill or across the water." With these he meant that the conversation was at an end. "What a lot of things you use good morning for," said Gandalf. "Now you mean that you want to get rid of me, and it wouldn't be a good morning till I move off." Not at all, my dear sir. You see, I don't think I know your name." Yes, my dear sir, and I do know your name, Mr. Bilbo Baggins. And you do know my name, though you don't remember that I belong to it. I am Gandalf, and Gandalf means me. To think that I should have lived to be Good Morning by Belladonna Took's son, as if I was selling buttons at the door. Gandalf! Good gracious me! Not the wandering wizard that gave old Took a pair of magic diamond studs that fastened themselves and never came undone till ordered. Not the fellow who used to tell such wonderful tales at parties about dragons and goblins and giants and the rescue of princesses and unexpected luck of widows' sons. Not the man that I used to make such particularly excellent fireworks. I remember those. Old Took used to have them on Midsummer's Eve. Splendid. They used to go up like great lion police and snap dragons and labyrinths on fire and hang in the twilight all evening. You will notice already that Mr. Baggins was not quite so prosy as he liked to believe. Also, he was very fond of flowers. Dear me, he went on, not that Gandalf was responsible for so many quiet lads and lasses going off into the blue for mad adventures. Anything from climbing trees to visiting elves, or sailing ships, or sailing to other shores. Bless me. Life used to be quiet. Used to be upset things badly in these parts once upon a time. I beg your pardon, but I know you were still in business. Where else should I be, said the wizard. All the same, I am pleased to find you remembering something about me. You seem to remember my fireworks kindly at any rate, and that is not without hope. Indeed, for your old grandfather Took's sake, and for the sake of poor Belladonna, I will give you what you asked for. I beg your pardon, I haven't asked you for anything. Yes, you have, twice now. My pardon. I give it you. In fact, I will go so far as to send you on an adventure. Very amusing for me, very good for you, and profitable too. Very likely if you ever get over it. Sorry, I don't want any adventures, thank you. Not today, good morning, but please come to tea anytime you like. Why not tomorrow? Come tomorrow, goodbye. With that, the Hobbit turned and scuttled inside his round green door, and shut it as quickly as he dared, not to seem rude. Wizards are after all wizards. What on earth did I ask him for tea for, he said, as to himself as he went to the pantry. He only just had breakfast, but he thought a cake or two and drink of something would do good after his fright. Gandalf, in the meantime, was still standing outside the door, and laughing long but quietly. After a while he stepped up, and with the spike of his staff scratched a queer sign on the Hobbit's beautiful green front door. And then he strode away, just about the time when Bilbo was finishing his second cake and beginning to think he'd escaped the adventures very well. Alright, I'm going to stop for now. I think this is long enough. I hope you liked it, despite the shaky camera.